Functionalism is a sociological perspective that sees society as a system of interconnected parts working together to maintain stability. One of these key institutions is the family, which functionalists argue plays a crucial role in keeping society functioning smoothly. Today, we will explore the functionalist view of the family, looking at the role they believe the family plays in and for society. We will be focusing on the contributions of key sociologists George Murdoch and Talcott Parsons, as well as evaluating them. Let's begin with George Murdoch, 1949, one of the first sociologists to study the universal role of the family. He conducted a cross-cultural study of 250 different societies in the 1930s and 40s. He concluded that the nuclear family, which consists of two parents and their dependent children, is a universal institution found in all societies. From his research, Murdoch identified four essential functions of the family. Sexual stabilization. The family provides a stable, monogamous relationship for adults, reducing sexual conflict and ensuring social order. Marriage, for example, institutionalizes sexual relationships and promotes long-term commitment. Reproduction. The family is responsible for producing and raising children, ensuring the survival of society and the continuation of future generations. Socialization. The family acts as the first agent of socialization, teaching children the norms, values, and culture of their society. Through this process, children learn how to behave and integrate into their communities. Economic support. Families provide financial and practical support, ensuring that members have basic necessities like food, shelter, and clothing. Murdoch argued that these functions are necessary for both individuals and society. Without them, society would lack social stability. However, Murdoch's perspective is not without criticism. One major challenge comes from the Rappaports, who argue that Murdoch overlooks the diversity of family structures in modern societies. They point out that lone parent families, same-sex families, and reconstituted families can all successfully fulfill the same essential functions Murdoch attributes to the nuclear family. Additionally, cultural differences further challenge the idea of the nuclear family's universality. Anthropologist Kathleen Goff highlights societies that do not conform to this model, such as the Nayar Society of southern India, where women traditionally had multiple partners and child-rearing responsibilities were distributed among extended family members rather than confined to biological parents. Beyond cultural diversity, critics also question whether the family remains essential in the same way Murdoch suggested, given that many of its traditional functions are now carried out by external institutions. Schools, for example, play a central role in education and socialization, while welfare systems and healthcare services provide economic and physical support, reducing the direct responsibilities of the family. These developments suggest that Murdoch's emphasis on the nuclear family may be outdated, as modern institutions have taken over many of its original roles. Talcott Parsons, in 1955, expanded on Murdoch's work, but also introduced significant differences in his perspective on the family. While Murdoch argued that the nuclear family is a universal institution found in all societies, Parsons took a more evolutionary approach, suggesting that family structures change in response to the needs of society. He developed the functional fit theory, which argues that different types of families emerge based on the demands of their social and economic environment. In contrast to Murdoch, who saw the nuclear family as a fixed and fundamental institution, Parsons believed that the structure of the family adapts over time to fit societal needs. Parsons explained that the extended family was more common in pre-industrial societies where multiple generations lived together, working collectively in agriculture-based economies. In these societies, the extended family was crucial in providing economic support, childcare, and socialization, as well as ensuring family labor was readily available for agricultural work. However, as industrialization progressed, the need for families to be geographically mobile increased. Jobs were no longer tied to the land, and individuals had to move to cities for work. This shift led to the dominance of the nuclear family, which Parsons saw as better suited to modern industrial societies. Unlike the extended family, nuclear families are small, self-contained, and mobile, making it easier for individuals to relocate for employment opportunities without the burden of maintaining large intergenerational households. Parsons used the Industrial Revolution to show how the family changes depending on the needs of society. He identified that the extended family was more common in pre-industrial societies, where multiple generations lived together, working collectively in agriculture-based economies. In these societies, the extended family was crucial in providing economic support, childcare, and socialization, as well as ensuring family labor was readily available for agricultural work. However, as industrialization progressed, the need for families to be geographically mobile increased. Jobs were no longer tied to the land, and individuals had to move to cities for work. This shift led to the dominance of the nuclear family, which Parsons saw as better suited to modern industrial societies. Unlike the extended family, nuclear families are small, self-contained, and mobile, making it easier for individuals to relocate for employment opportunities without the burden of maintaining large intergenerational households. Parsons called this the functional fit theory, and it presents a more dynamic view of the family compared to Murdoch. While Murdoch argued that the nuclear family is a constant and necessary institution, Parsons believed that the family evolves in response to economic and social changes. He acknowledged that in some societies, extended families were once essential, but in industrialized nations, the nuclear family had become the dominant structure because it allowed for greater flexibility and adaptation to modern economic demands. This idea challenges Murdoch's claim that the nuclear family is universal and static, instead positioning it as a structure that has developed to meet the specific requirements of contemporary society. Moreover, Parsons argued that as societies modernized, many traditional family functions became the responsibility of specialized institutions. Unlike Murdoch, who emphasized that the family was the primary provider of economic support, education, and socialization, Parsons recognized a process called structural differentiation, where external institutions, such as schools, healthcare systems, and welfare programs, took over many of the functions once performed by families. For example, while pre-industrial families were responsible for educating children, modern societies rely on formal education systems. Similarly, welfare programs and social security systems now provide financial support, reducing the family's economic role. Despite this shift, Parsons still believed that the family plays a vital role in modern society, particularly in socializing children and stabilizing adult personalities, which he saw as its two core functions. Parsons agreed with Murdoch on the first major function of the family, primary socialization of children. This means that families are responsible for teaching children the basic norms, values, and behaviors that they need to become functioning members of society. From an early age, children learn right from wrong, how to interact with others, and the expectations placed on them by society. For example, parents teach their children how to say please and thank you, respect authority, and follow rules, all of which help them integrate successfully into school, work, and social life. If families fail in this role, society could become chaotic, as people would not have a shared understanding of rules, cooperation, and acceptable behavior. The second key function Parsons identified is the stabilization of adult personalities, which he explained using the warm bath theory. Parsons compared the family to a warm bath, suggesting that it acts as a place of comfort and emotional support, particularly for working adults. He argued that after a long and stressful day at work, individuals, especially men, who were traditionally the breadwinners, could return home to relax, unwind, and receive emotional care from their families. In this way, the family acts as a safety valve, preventing stress and frustration from spilling over into wider society. If people were constantly overwhelmed by the pressures of work and had nowhere to de-stress, they might become aggressive or unproductive, which could lead to instability in workplaces and communities. By offering a supportive environment, families help individuals recharge so they can continue contributing to society. Parsons also believed that within the family, there is a clear division of roles that helps maintain stability. He argued that these roles are biologically determined. He argued that men typically take on an instrumental role, focusing on work and providing financial support, while women adopt an expressive role, offering emotional support and care within the home. This traditional division of labor, according to Parsons, ensures that families function smoothly and that both men and women contribute in different but equally important ways. Like Murdoch, Parsons has faced significant criticisms, particularly from feminist and diversity-focused sociologists. Anne Oakley argues that Parsons' view of biologically determined roles reinforces patriarchal norms, assuming that men should naturally be breadwinners while women focus on caregiving. However, modern society has seen a significant shift, with many women entering the workforce and men taking on childcare responsibilities, challenging the rigid division of labor Parsons described. Additionally, feminist sociologists criticize Parsons for presenting the family as a harmonious and supportive institution, ignoring family conflict, domestic violence, and gender inequality. By focusing on the supposed stability provided by traditional family roles, Parsons overlooks the fact that family life can be a source of oppression, particularly for women, who often bear the burden of unpaid domestic work. Furthermore, Parsons, like Murdoch, has been accused of overlooking family diversity. Rappaport and Rappaport, 1982, challenge his emphasis on the nuclear family as the ideal structure, pointing out that single-parent families, same-sex families, and reconstituted families are equally capable of fulfilling key family functions such as socialization and emotional support. In a society where diverse family forms are increasingly common, Parsons' theory is seen as outdated and too focused on a single model of family life. The new right perspective on the family is a politically conservative viewpoint that emerged in the late 20th century, particularly in the UK and the US. It is closely linked to thinkers like Charles Murray and David Marsland, and has influenced government policies on family life, welfare, and social responsibility. Like functionalists, the new right sees the family as a crucial institution that ensures social stability, proper socialization of children, and economic independence. However, they take a much stronger stance on the importance of traditional family structures and are openly critical of modern changes that they believe undermine social order. At the heart of the new right's argument is the belief that the traditional nuclear family, consisting of a married heterosexual couple with dependent children, is the ideal and natural family structure. They argue that this family type is essential for raising well-socialized, responsible citizens. The new right strongly criticizes rising rates of divorce, cohabitation, single-parent families, and same-sex parenting, claiming that these developments have led to a breakdown of traditional values. They believe that when families deviate from the traditional nuclear model, society suffers from increased crime rates, poor educational outcomes, and a rise in welfare dependency. Charles Murray argues that the expansion of the welfare state has created a dependency culture where individuals rely too much on government benefits instead of working and supporting their families. He is particularly critical of single-parent families, which he claims contribute to problems such as higher crime rates, unemployment, and poor educational achievement among children. According to Murray, boys raised without father figures are more likely to engage in delinquent behavior because they lack male role models to instill discipline and responsibility. He uses the example of inner-city areas in the US and UK, where high levels of unemployment and crime have been linked to family breakdown and welfare dependency. Another key argument of the new right is the belief that marriage is vital for a stable society. David Marsland argues that marriage encourages commitment, responsibility, and discipline, providing a stable environment for raising children. The new right sees the decline of marriage and the rise of cohabitation and single parenthood as serious threats to social order. For example, they point to rising divorce rates, with nearly 42% of marriages in the UK ending in divorce, as evidence that traditional family values are being eroded. Despite its influence, the new right perspective has been widely criticized by sociologists. Feminists argue that it reinforces patriarchal norms, encouraging women to stay at home as caregivers while men take on the breadwinning role. They point out that in modern society, many women successfully balance careers and family life, challenging the idea that traditional gender roles are necessary for family stability. Additionally, critics argue that single-parent families can successfully raise well-adjusted children, and blaming them for social problems ignores deeper economic and structural issues. Peter Townsend argues that poverty and inequality, not single-parent families, are the real causes of crime and unemployment. Moreover, the new right perspective is often accused of being outdated. Society has changed significantly with an increase in diverse family structures, including same-sex families, reconstituted families, and cohabiting couples, many of whom provide loving, stable environments for children. Postmodernist sociologists like Judith Stacy argue that family diversity is a positive development, giving people more freedom to choose family arrangements that suit their personal circumstances, rather than being restricted to a rigid traditional model. So as we can see, the functionalists view the family as a positive institution that benefits both individuals and society by promoting social integration, cooperation, and stability. However, their perspective has been widely criticized. Feminists argue that functionalism reinforces traditional gender roles and ignores power inequalities within the family. Marxists challenge functionalism for overlooking how the family supports capitalism, particularly through the socialization of children into accepting hierarchy and by acting as a unit of consumption. Postmodernists critique functionalism for ignoring the increasing diversity of family structures, as modern societies now include a variety of family forms beyond the nuclear family.